Welcome to the Modern Classrooms Project podcast. Each week, we bring you discussions with educators on how they use blended, self-paced, and mastery-based learning to better serve their students. We believe teachers learn best from each other, so this is our way of lifting up the voices of leaders and innovators in our community. This is the Modern Classrooms Project podcast.
Hey y'all, it's Tony Rose Deanna and they them pronouns, a designated hype person here at MCP, and I am so ecstatic to be joined by an educator and instructional leader with 27 years of experience who has taught math to students in 7th grade all the way up to AP Calculus. So Veronica Hebard works at Mayflower in Arkansas as the math lady, centering on instructional planning that focuses on practical strategies that respect teachers' time and expertise. Again, I'm so excited to be here with the math lady. Welcome, Veronica.
Thank you.
It's so exciting to be in this space with you because, again, like I told you before I hit record, I've heard such fabulous things about you. And so I'm so excited to have a real-time conversation with you. And thank you so much for saying yes to the podcast because I know you're super busy. And MCP is like, hey, we got this opportunity. We got this other opportunity. We want you to do this and we want you to do that. And you've just been like, yes, 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 yes. And also pay me. I love that.
Actually.
No, it's great. It's great. I love the playfulness of it, right? Like, I mean, at some point there was an ask that Kim had sent you and you were not feeling well. You were sick. But you responded anyway. And I'm like, okay, I don't recommend for everyone, but I'm also so appreciative that you were like, you know what? I am sick. And yes, I can answer that question. So before we get started with talking about all this incredible work that you're doing in Arkansas, what is bringing you joy currently?
4th grade math is bringing me joy. I know that's weird, but we were just there and the kids were so excited. It was crazy fun. We ended the day or the time period over there and they were playing some kind of lightning game and the kids were choosing like, oh, I want to play this. I want to play multiplication. I want to play fractions. Like they were choosing the math that they wanted. And it just makes me so happy that they want to do fractions. What 4th grader in the world wants to work on fractions? But my 4th graders want to do fractions.
And that is really exciting. And I definitely chuckled when you said 4th grade math because you're right. Like who would ever bring up 4th grade math is something that's bringing them joy? A math lady, of course, the math lady. And so I just wanted to also clarify to our listeners. So when you said we were just there, MCP, the team is actually there doing a school site visit. So Veronica had told me that they just finished with the high school and elementary school, and now they're headed to the middle school. And so it really is a whole district effort on your part, Veronica. So thank you for, getting to know us and welcoming us into your district. Do you want to give a little bit of a background of how you found out about MCP before we start talking about all the cool things that you are doing?
Sure. So back to 4th grade math. My teacher was looking for something different. And she came to me in like March of last year and said, Veronica, I really want to do something different. I really want to find a way where I can have small groups within my instructional time. And I said to myself, oh, goodness. But to her, I said, yes, ma'am, we'll make it work. We'll work on it this summer. No big deal. No big deal. We're inside. I'm freaking out because it is a big deal for someone to want to completely change their instruction from, we've used IM for 6 years, but she didn't feel like it was enough. So then I got this random email from my assistant superintendent saying, hey, I've got this person from Modern Classroom that has this great idea. Can you look at it? I was like, sure, whatever. Yeah, send it over. No big deal. Fine. Something else to do. And I got about 15 minutes into reading the material and I was like, holy smokes, this is exactly what Allison wants to do. And somebody's just landing this on my plate. And so I dug in some more. I talked with, I don't know who I spoke with first. I think Sophia was maybe there and your big guy there. Kareem. Like I had a Zoom with Kareem and he was telling me all about it. And I was asking questions, like I'm scribbling notes down on this paper as fast as I can. And after all of that, I finally went to Allison. I said, Allison, let me tell you what was just thrown at me, and you tell me if this is what your idea was. And I told her about the structure of MCP, and she says, oh my gosh, Veronica, that's exactly what I want to do. Can we do it? Can we do it? Can we do it? And I was thought, yes, even if we just do it fourth grade, we will do this. But it turned out that I was getting a new fifth grade teacher, a new seventh grade teacher, and a new Algebra 1 teacher all at the same time. And because we're singletons, I only have one fourth grade teacher, one fifth grade teacher. So it was a great time for me to say, you know what? We're all going to learn this together. We're going to do it all at the same time. Because initially I thought we'll start with fourth grade, we'll roll to fifth grade. But instead, we just jumped in 2 feet. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in Algebra 1 all at the same time. So that's how we ended up here. And this has probably been some of the best partnership work. And you're not paying me to say this, so I'm saying it anyways. The partnership that we've had with Modern Classroom has been the best partnership with any type of vendor or anything like that. So it has been, wow, it's mind-boggling at the support that I have, even though you're asking me or telling me that, oh, you've done all of this, you've done all of that. Really, it's simply because of all the support that we get from MCP.
That warms my heart. That warms my heart. I mean, that is just so beautifully said, right? And of course, not biased at all. But it is really nice when, because a lot of my teammates at MCP were former teachers, right? And so we know the importance of providing that support for scaffolding, for making sure that there's an entryway and access, so that this is not going to be so overwhelming. Veronica, I have to applaud you, right? Like, you just being like, nope, we're going to dive right into it. You were open. I love the eye roll in the beginning of like, okay, fine. Like, here's another thing that you want me to do. Great. And then 15 minutes in being like, wait a minute. This is exactly what Allison was talking about. And so I love that alignment. I love that the universe provided for you of like, how do we do this? Here it is. It's literally right here. And how cool is it that it was coming from the assistant superintendent as well, right? And because typically what happens, right, like top down, teachers don't want to hear that, right? It has to be like teachers have to come up with it and then it'll like spread like fire, right? But I love this, like it just happened so seamless and so beautifully. And you were like, oh, we're going to do this. Like, new teachers, let's go. And I also love this thing that you said too of like, we're going to do it together. It's going to be a community space. It's going to be a learning environment for all, right? A learning experience for all. And so it's not just one person doing it at a time and then struggling on their own. Like, you saw a chance and you were like, done, doing it. And so, one of the things that I wanted to bring up too is that Allison had a really great, Allison advocated for what she needed, right? Like, it was just like, hey, I'm seeing that students are either bored or completely lost in the classroom, right? And this is math. And when we think about math education, right? Like, math is a struggle, not just for Arkansas, but like everywhere. So, you were just kind of like, okay, yeah, cool, let's do it. Like, was that the kind of conversation that you and Allison had of like, okay, let's look at data. And also, I'm listening to you, I'm hearing you, and now we're going to do this thing together. How did that come about for you?
Well, it came about because she and I have had a conversation. This is her third or fourth year. I don't remember at this point. And she was from a different state. She came here to Arkansas by herself, no parents, no nothing. She just had this. She said, this is where I needed to be. And so through our conversations, and she was questioning whether or not she wanted to stay in education. I mean, it had gotten to that point. Like, she didn't know if she could keep doing this unless something changed, because it affected her when a kid fell through the cracks and she just couldn't handle it. And I said, we'll find a way to do this. We'll make this happen. And the difference from her in March or actually before that, of not wanting to teach anymore, to March of having a flicker of hope, to being recorded inspire folks at MCP, and this wonderful video came about. She's a completely different teacher. I mean, she was one of the nominees for Teacher of the Year. So, yeah, she had a life-changing. This has been life-changing for her. MCP has been life-changing for this one teacher, from going, I want to give up and not teach anymore, to I'm my rock star. Here I am. Put me on camera. Let me show you what I can do. And anytime that we have another school reach out, she's the first classroom that I take our guests to, so that they get to see what's happening here. And she'll even tell them, I wanted to quit this time last year, but now look at me. Now look at me.
I mean, what an amazing story, right? I didn't know all of that about Allison. And y'all, we're going to put it in the show notes as well so you can see what this video is, because this video is dope. I mean, when I tell you the kids are in it, the adult, like the teachers are in it, just talking about the impact of this model is just so beautiful. And I do have to say, Veronica, we did post it on our TikTok, and it kind of went viral. If not, it really did go viral. Like there's like at least 50K views of it, which I think is phenomenal, right? So like people are asking, how do I do this? How do I get to this point? Because we also have teachers, or we also have comments that are like, this is impossible for my group of kids, or my kids, this is like, I can't do that in my elementary school. What about kindergartners? What about this? What about, like, there's always that resistance, right? Like rightfully so. And so this is such a great segue too. Again, y'all, highly recommend watching this video. We'll put that in the show notes. But like, a self-paced classroom is very intimidating, right? Like we want, as teachers, we always say like, we want small groups, but ultimately we don't know how to do small groups, right? It's just an expectation that we do small groups, but never really taught how. And then when you put in self-pacing, teachers automatically go, but if I'm working with a small group, what's the rest of my class doing? Are they going to be on task? They're going to be all over the place. This is going to be bad. They're going to be distracted. They're not going to do their work. So it's going to be really, not even really, but like a little more hectic compared to everyone sitting in rows listening to a lecture, right? That compliance piece, but there's not really that engagement piece that we're missing. So when you're coaching like school leaders, principals, or even teachers, like how do you help them walk into a room and realize like, hey, this is not a lack of control. This is actually what high level system looks like at work. What are the big things that school leaders should be looking for who have no idea what to look for when it comes to self-pacing?
That's a really great question. And our administrators went through the training this summer with Kim, and it was enlightening for them because we had used illustrative mathematics for like 6 years. So they knew the structure of IM and how it went. And then we have this structure of MCP where, you know, they still have teaching moments of whole group. But then when they get to this self-paced area, that's the piece that I had to show my administrators, like, hey, there's still learning going on. The kids aren't just doing willy-nilly. They've got all of these things that they either must do or aspire to do. And you can ask a kid at any time, like, hey, what are you working on right now? And they're going to be able to tell you with their tracker exactly what they're working on. So it does look a little different and it sounds a little different. But the sounds are now about mathematics. It's not about, you know, what happened on the playground or what happened in the lunchroom. Like today, when we were again back at our 4th grade, even at high school, that they're talking about math. They're talking about, hey, did you get this? This is the strategy that I used. So it has really shifted ownership from the teacher being the knower of all and the giver of knowledge to now the students are relying on each other. They're relying on the videos. The videos are fantastic that MCP has put out. They're great because the kids can watch them over and over and over at any time. So when our administrators go in, I encourage them to go in during the middle 30 minutes because that's when they get to see all of this going on. If they go in at the beginning or at the end, they're going to see the normal stuff that every teacher does. But I encourage them to go in the middle part because that's where students are sharing the load of learning and sharing the load of teaching.
Oh, you said that so beautifully, sharing the load of learning and sharing the load of teaching. And as a teacher, like that's something that I want to hear constantly, right? Like it cannot fall on me all the time. And so I love that of like going into it middle of 30 minutes. And I think this is such a nice reminder too, that whole group still happens in a self-paced classroom, right? Like that whole group is actually really important in the beginning so that, hey, let's come together as a whole group and be in community with each other so that you all know what skills we're learning together. And then you can go and approach it however you need to approach it, right? And I love that so much. And another thing too that you had said, there's this math discourse that's happening, right? That doesn't happen often. And so for you to share like fourth grade all the way to high school, like they're not even talking about recess. They're not talking about being outside. They're not talking about TikTok videos. They're talking about math. They're talking about like what they're learning in math, what their peer is doing compared to what they're doing, right? Hey, where are you on the tracker? What did you do? How did you get there? And I love that piece as well. And then the videos too, Veronica. I have to admit, when I started doing videos for my students, it was such a like a load off of my back because then my co-teachers had access to it. So they know exactly what we're learning, right? My families and my caregivers had access to it. My admin had access to it. Anybody could go in there and be like, what's Ms. D working on today? Here's a video. Now you know. Now you don't have to struggle and figure out like, what is it that you learned, right? And so that conversation piece between a parent and a student, right? It's no longer like IDK, but it's more like, let's watch this video together. And especially when it comes to math education, Veronica, when I looked at our curriculum, IM with MCP, right? When I saw the resources that we created, I was like, wait a minute, I could be a math teacher. This is so clear. This is so like concise and it's very organized in a way that I was like, I've never even thought to be a math teacher, but like with the resources as provided, I think I could do it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because we have a long-term sub in right now. And she went in and started using MCP and she was like, I would watch the videos at night and then she was able to support the kids the next day. And it has helped with that too, because we weren't expecting to have a long-term sub, but I mean, she had all the resources at a click. At a click. There was no searching a website or downloading anything. It was just so seamless that really, like you said, anybody could do it. Like here we have a long-term sub who doesn't have a background in education, and she's doing it now like a normal teacher would be doing it. It's crazy to think about.
And that's another thing too. Like I hear time and time again, and even in my own experience too, right? Like subs love MCP classrooms because students just know exactly what to do. And like you said, they can also access the information. So if they really wanted to go above and beyond and not, just babysit, right? Like they could go up and like teach the thing and have conversations about it. I mean, it's really interesting too, because I'm also trying to go in as a substitute teacher in the county that I'm in, because I'm like, I want to see still like what's happening in the classroom. And I'm a little hesitant because I'm like, but I don't know what they're teaching. And I feel like if it were MCP5, it would be so great to just be able to access that, right? And so thank you for sharing that. Like long-term sub, the access is there. Like there's lots of connections happening, conversations that are happening, and there's not IDK what the kids are doing, right? It's a lot of transparency there. And so I love that. Now, another concern that we often hear from folks as well is that when it comes to self-pacing, that means everybody's on a different pace, right? Like everyone is just working on whatever they need to work on, right? And that can be a little scary for some folks, right? And so what do you say? Like, how do you keep the bar high and stick to the curriculum while still giving students the permission they need to take an extra day or two to really get a concept down? Because we're thinking about, the students who need more time, the students who are falling behind and never catch up. And that happens. And again, that's nationwide, right? So yeah, how do you support your teachers and your leaders in making sure that they're sticking to the curriculum, there's high expectations, and students still have access to time and pacing?
Yeah, so the structure of MCP answered that question for us. So that was the question that we had forever. We would have kids that would be absent 3 or 4 days in a row, and we're on a 4-day work week. So we only go to school Tuesday through Friday. So if a kid misses 3 or 4 days, they've missed an entire week of school for us. So now what happens if we have a kid that has been absent or works at a slower pace during that block of time where it's student centered? Our teachers are able to go and sit with a group of kids and pull them to the side and say, hey, what can we do to get caught up? So for them, they might not use the video because she's there teaching right beside them, or he is teaching right beside them. Coach Bowden is really good about that, as well as our other teachers. He was also on that video. And I think at the very beginning of the video, you'll hear him say, hey, don't worry about it. We'll get you caught up. So, they're all really good about it. And knowing that they have that tracker right there, the kids have their tracker, you can instantly see which kids need to go in which groups. Our Algebra 1 teacher does a really good thing. Her seating is fluid. Like, she doesn't have assigned seating because every day when they come in, there's a sticky note on the table that says, you all are going to this group right here because you're on this lesson, and we need to make sure that you're all aware of what's going on in this lesson and how to move forward. So having that time in the middle of class to be able to meet the kids where they are has been phenomenal. We're still teaching an on-pace lesson. So for the kids that are behind, it's going to scaffold them up. The kids that are ahead, it's reinforcing the learning that they've already done and maybe clarify misconceptions for them, which helps tremendously. So if it wasn't for us having that time block right there in the middle, we would not be able to catch kids up because we didn't have time for it in the past, because we didn't know what to do with the kids. They didn't have all of these other things that they could be doing to move their learning forward while we were helping kids that maybe were absent or have moved in from another school district. We have a highly mobile population, which means we have kids that are in and out a lot from one small school to another small school. So having this structure in place has helped us eliminate that kid saying, well, I wasn't here for 4 or 5 days, so now I don't know what I'm doing and I'm so far behind. Yeah. So it gave us the structure that we needed. I don't think I can say that enough. I think I've said that like 10 times now. It's given us the structure to where they need to be.
Yeah. And it's never enough to say that. I think sometimes this is something that, one of my teammates has said, like, adults need to hear something at least 7 times for it to stick in their heads, right? And so it's like, keep saying it. It was a structure. And I think also I want to add on the differentiation piece too, right? This is another thing, like small groups, we were not taught how to do that. Differentiation is another skill that we were really not taught how to do. And so now you're telling me that there's a self-pacing piece where I don't have to be in front of the classroom, and I can actually pull the kids who need the support, or maybe even just kids who just need that like hyping up, right? Like, hey, you're doing really well. It's great. And so that differentiation piece is there, and not saying that like all students should watch the videos, right? It depends. What kind of learner are you? Do you need me to do something for you? We'll do that. We have time for that now. I really love how you described also that the seating is fluid, right? I love that. Seating charts are amazing. They are amazing. And see, like, having a fluid seating chart is also just as amazing, because I definitely had that. Every day my students knew that the seating was going to be different so that they couldn't be too comfortable sitting with their friends or, sitting wherever they were. But that was just an expectation that I had in the class. And so I love this like on pace lesson so that you can scaffold up, right? Reinforce and then clarify misconceptions. Like, how amazing is that, Veronica? That's really, really dope. And thank you for sharing that piece as well. Now, another thing that you did share with us is that a resource, and it's 4 questions that impact student learning. Tell us more about that. And again, y'all, we're going to put this in the show notes so you have access to it.
Prior to working here at Mayflower, I was the math specialist for the entire state of Arkansas. So that was my job. That's what I did for many years. And anytime that I did a training, everybody always asked, well, how do you keep kids engaged? Well, it's easy. You ask them questions. And if you ask them questions, kids have to respond to you. I mean, they feel the need to respond. So the 4 questions is why. I mean, if you have a 2-year-old, you know how annoying that question can be. So you ask that question of kids, why? How do you know? Can you explain? And my favorite is, do you agree or disagree? Kids like to argue with each other. So if you ask that question alone, it's getting them talking more about the mathematics. And the more that kids are talking, math, science, social studies, whatever it may be, the less time that they have to be bored, to cause problems, any of that. So these questions came from a book called Accessible Mathematics. And quick little read, good book, really good book. I think 3 of the 4 came from that. And what we have done is we have put those 4 questions on like a colored sheet of paper, and we just have it on the board. So when we as teachers feel we don't know what question to ask next, because that's a very difficult thing to plan for, they can go to those 4 questions. Why? How do you know? Can you explain? Do you agree or disagree? And when they do that, student engagement goes up, random talking discipline goes down. But it also gives formative data. So it's 2 birds, 1 stone. You're keeping them engaged and you're collecting formative data. So those 2 pieces, I mean, that could run a world, right? Not just a classroom. Could run your world on that, asking questions, getting them engaged, collecting data. And then what do you do with that data? You change your instruction right then and do what needs to be done based on why. How do you know? Can you explain? Do you agree or disagree? 4 easy questions.
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's very simple, right? Very simple. And sometimes as educators, we just forget the simple things. And so I love that you said, we printed it out. It's going to be right by the board. So in case the teachers are like, oh gosh, what question should I ask? Here are the questions. Another thing that I would even say too, Veronica, is that have those students ask the teacher those questions as well. And those questions to each other. Like, how cool would it be? Like, we need to have our kids asking more questions and not just being like, yeah, okay. Right? So I love that. That's so great. It could be used by anyone, honestly.
I think we'll also hear our kids mimic those questions. It'll be, how did you know that? Well, why? I don't agree. I mean, like they don't realize that they're doing it, but you're right. They do start mimicking what the teacher has been saying and the questions that they ask, because that's their go-to person during that class time. And if they hear them enough, hopefully they'll start saying it too. Some do.
Yeah. And that's the power of modeling, right? Like when they see their teacher doing it, then they're like, oh, wait, I could do it too. And then hopefully they can also use those skills outside of the classroom, right? Like when they're implementing or even doing math in real life, right? Like, hey, why? Another thing too that I wanted to note is that when students are talking, right? Like when there's that talking piece, they're processing their learning. And like you, I can't say this enough, but if my students can talk about it, can get someone to understand what they're learning, they have mastered that concept, right? Like the talking piece is so important. And I know sometimes too that teachers will be like, well, it's post-COVID. My students don't really like to talk. They don't want to talk to each other. How do you respond to that, Veronica?
Kids like to talk. They don't like to talk to adults, but kids like to talk. If you've gone into a classroom lately, kids like to talk. And we basically keep them from talking, that because we want the quiet, we want this, we want that. So my favorite thing in addition to those things right there is, hey, turn and talk to your neighbor. Make them talk when they don't want to talk. Turn and talk to your neighbors. You get 30 seconds, you get 30 seconds. And that tiny little turn and talk is a really powerful thing for them to do. And then I don't want you to tell me what you're saying. I want you to tell me what your partner said. So they have to actively listen. And we have to actually train kids to do that. They just want to talk, but they don't want to listen. So again, asking the question, holding them accountable, it all just goes together in that nice tiny little bow on it.
Yeah. And we can also start out with questions that are low lift, right? Like, hey, tell me about what you ate today. 30 seconds, right? Tell me what you watched or what you did last night. 30 seconds to get them comfortable with talking to each other. And so that's that important piece of like, we have to make time for it. We have to make time for it. And then your students will start warming up, because you got to build that trust in that classroom so that students know, oh, I can ask for help, or this person likes the same thing I do. Maybe we can be friends, right? Because it's also a social piece when it comes to learning. So thank you for that reminder, Veronica. Now, you did mention data. We love some data talks over here, okay? And I wanted to end with this too, because it is just so beautiful. The stats for your district are pretty wild. The teacher sustainability jumps from 49% to 89% after implementing this model for a year. And so how does building differentiation into the system instead of making teachers improvise it every day actually make the job of teaching feel doable again? And I don't even want you to just talk about the sustainability, right? Like you could talk about like the student data too, if you wanted to mention, because I know that's pretty wild too.
Yeah, we have Atlas test here in Arkansas, and we take 2 interims and a summative a year. And we were looking at some of our data to try to kind of see, how has this impacted our data? And we have pockets where it has just changed. Like 4th grade and like 8th grade, I mean, we've always had good success, but now because our kids are getting this individualized attention during class time, it really has changed. And my teachers are now, they feel more confident. They feel that not only am I here to help, but our 2 coaches that we have from MCP are available at all times. It's like they have 3 people rooting for them to be successful and have this growth and have this feeling of, wow, I'm doing a really great job. And I have the data to prove it. Collective teacher efficacy, John Hattie's work of, if I can see it happening and I have the results in front of me, then wow, I can do this. And building their confidence, I don't know if I would have ever gotten to that point by myself of being their cheerleader and saying, yes, you're doing a great job. But now I have outsiders. It's almost like, Veronica, you have to say that because you're my coach or, you're my specialist. But now that I have these other people that are saying, wow, I'm doing a good job. Wow, I was videoed. Wow, you're bringing, people from different schools here to see me. It has just changed so much. It has made us feel like, wow, we're a tiny little school, but we're making a big difference. We may only have 900 kids, but our 900 kids are growing. And I don't know if there's anything better than that.
Teachers are not there for the money, right? Teachers like to be seen. They like to be valued. And so when they feel confident, when they feel supported, when they feel empowered, morale goes up. So when teacher morale is high, students' morale is high, right? So thank you so much for being in this space and sharing your experiences and expertise with us, Veronica. I really appreciate it. I know you have a full day ahead of you with MCP team there. And so you pausing to have this conversation with me is really, really great. And so thank you again for that. And you know what? I have to say, the verdict is in. You are as cool as everyone says that you are. So I love it.
I don't know if it's cool or just hard worker. I'm just passionate about education. I'm passionate about math, and MCP has given me my passion back because we all wane. I've been in education for 27 years in different roles, and this has been, when I say that my teachers needed it, I think I also needed it too. And it has really changed my outlook it has changed how I interact with teachers, how I interact with students, how I interact with administration too. So it has been refreshing. Maybe that's a good word. It's been refreshing not only for myself, but for my teachers and absolutely for our students.
Yes, this is exactly what I needed today. So I appreciate your words. I appreciate all the things that you're doing for your teachers and for your leaders. And just, I appreciate you for being you, Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Listeners, remember you can always email us at podcast@modernclassrooms.org, and you can find the links to topics and tools we discussed, as well as more info on this week's announcements and events, in the show notes for this episode at podcast.modernclassrooms.org. We'll have this episode's recap and transcript uploaded to the Modern Classrooms blog on Friday, so be sure to check there or check back in the show notes for this episode if you'd like to access those. And if you enjoy our podcast and it's been helpful in supporting you to create a blended, self-paced, mastery-based learning environment, we would love if you could leave a review. That does help other folks find our podcast. And of course, you can always learn the essentials of our model, if you want to go beyond the podcast, through our free course at learn.modernclassrooms.org. And you can follow us on social media at ModernClassProj. That's PROJ. We are so appreciative of all the hard work you do for students and schools. Have a great week, and we'll be back next Sunday with another episode of the Modern Classrooms Project podcast.